Welcome to Dr. Carr's Guide to Reading Poems for Poets and Lovers of Poetry. In this video, I share some top secret tips and tricks for reading poems. You'll be listening for about 11 minutes, and then it's your turn to practice. So get out your workbook and start taking notes. Poems are permission slips, secrets, living entities whose trust must be earned, portals to understanding the relationship between the individual psyche, a more collective consciousness, and the physical world. With a sustained investment, poems can foster self-trust, introspection, and interior grounding that can offset the tendency to look only outward for answers. You should leave the poem with more questions than you came with. This is good. Questions are passageways to new life. On the myth of meaning. Poems do have meanings. That's true. But they, like everything else in this world, are not islands, and they are not static. Their meanings shapeshift with time and in context, depending to a great extent on the beholder and what that person is ready, willing, and able to receive. The impact that a poem has on a person is not about the person's intellectual understanding of a poem's meaning or significance. Rather, each poem is like an old brass bell that, when rung, holds the potential to send a ripple through our being that activates latent pools and pockets of wisdom, memory, and experience. On positive projections. Poems are physical objects onto which we can project our inner life safely and without harming self or others. The externalization of experience on a poem creates some distance that gives us room to breathe, that shifts how we relate to ourselves, and that offers a new vantage point to look from. This way, we can safely see, understand, and explore the less palatable aspects of ourselves, others, and the systems and structures of which we are a part. Each time we read a poem and remain open to what it might activate in us, we are carving out a safe, stable container in which we can learn to be with emotions, memories, and experiences we'd rather not be with. And that can be life-altering. Feel, listen, make. Earning the poem's trust in 3 easy steps. Feel. Lean into your mixed emotions and gut reactions. Listen. In a world full of megaphones, poems tend to whisper, so it's important to clear your mental space and lean in. Make. Any creative act helps us to build up resilience, problem solving, and bouncing back from failure, where failure becomes feedback. Number 1. How do you feel? What emotions does the poem evoke? You are probably unaware of the vast array of feelings you could be having at any given moment. This is a serious limitation to your growth, potential, and ultimate satisfaction as a human being. Do not let a single second go by in which you are unable to name the depth and breadth of your emotions, which, yes, can and should be mixed. As Cheryl Strayed once wrote in her Dear Sugar column, "If I had to say in one fell swoop, what is sugar? What is sugar trying to espouse? It's that 2 things can be true at once, even opposing truths. It could be true that you will suffer forever because you were sexually abused as a child. It can also be true that you can overcome that and not let that experience define your life. And you can hold those 2 truths in 2 hands and walk forward." Number 2. What secrets does the poem want to share with you? Seasoned poets and readers of poetry will tell you that when you've been in the right relationship with poetry long enough, poems will start to spill their secrets. And wouldn't you rather a poem spill its secrets, as opposed to trying to unlock the poem as if it were some kind of secret code? By right relationship, I mean 1. You don't go around demanding revelations. 2. You show up regularly with reverence and with offerings of attention and energy, resources more precious than frankincense and myrrh. 3. You let go of getting the secret right and focus on opening yourself up to receiving it. Number 3. What kinds of permission does the poem want to give you? Maybe the poem gives you permission to feel angry, or to be mad at someone and still love them at the same time, or to get weirder with your feelings, or weirder with your images, or your punctuation, or to let go of syntax or the left-hand margin. Maybe the poem gives you permission to inhabit a point of view you've been told is wrong, or insane, or irresponsible, to celebrate the beauty of yourself or the world for a hot minute, to think how beautiful, how really great I am. I am this tree, and I am that flower, and I am not separate from them. Maybe the poem gives you permission to see yourself as you truly are, however paradoxical, counterintuitive, stubbornly nonsensical, weird, and messy, to reclaim the artist you are. Not all of us are poets, but we are all artists, whether we are making a loaf of bread, a symphony, a poem, a building, a child, a day. I have been reading poems in this way for over 20 years, and what has become possible through this work? A heightened capacity for being in uncertainty, an understanding that doing my best and needing to do better are not mutually exclusive, a willingness to display the holes in my thinking, the places where my understanding lacks discernment or grace or wisdom, the vulnerabilities. Part of what we're learning is how to engage with the material world in a different way, treating what we've been taught to treat as an inanimate object, poems, words, etc., as having an energy and a life force of its own, of being worthy of respect and of being deeply listened to. If we manage this subtle shift when we work with poems, we wind up doing a lot more than just learning how to engage with the poem. We start to move from a unilateral subject-object way of relating and toward one that hears, responds, and collaborates, both on and off the page. Let's practice on one of my poems. Poetry was originally an oral art form, and poems love to be heard. So, I encourage you to close your eyes and listen. Probability versus plot. 1. The shortest story begins and ends with true love. 2. The absence of love is not nothing. 3. Like that without punctuation, a desire too dangerous to touch. 4. There had been many daughters, but now we were down to almost one. 5. Because her fear that everyone will see, her shame is less than her fear that no one can see her at all. Some part of her is always elsewhere, exploiting her life for drama. 6. The dream is scratchy, warm, like brandy in a slow cigarette or a mind trying to decompose herself. 7. Perhaps she never had sex, but she had teeth. She had eaten meat, pure energy of earth, the rawest material. 8. On the other hand, the daughter was a function of herself, akin to heartache, or the green line time makes around the known universe. It's your turn. Turn to page 5 in your workbook and practice feeling, listening, and making with my poem, Probability versus Plot, as your guide. Your facilitator will guide you through the process of making my 3-step method work for you.